I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know
he just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this, but I want to fight you.
AJ this morning, he went, listen, of course, I'd fight. I mean, you know, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah, but he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it for the sake of it. But obviously, we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events.
Look into the camera and say it directly because it just has to be said. Jake Paul, sir, you are absolutely delusional.
Jake Paul has been vocal about wanting to fight top-tier boxers, and now Anthony Joshua has responded. Speaking to his promoter, Eddie Hearn, Joshua simply said, "Listen, I'd fight him." Hearn shared this revelation, making it clear that AJ isn't one to back down from any challenge. While a fight between the two seems unlikely given the massive gap in experience, Joshua's willingness to entertain the idea has sparked interest. Whether Paul truly wants that smoke or is just hyping things up remains to be seen. But AJ's response makes one thing clear. He's always ready.
We're here. I want to ask you a question because the world of media went mental this morning. Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. Please put this to bed or light the fire. What's going on?
I mean, sorry. This is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, like, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'll do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you. And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But, you know, the only thing that was disappointing was he says 2026. I mean, that's like calling someone out. That's like me saying, you know, LA Olympics for the surfing, 2028, I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do it in 2025 if you really want to do it. You're not going to get really much better at this stage. But I don't know, those two have spoken. I spoke to AJ this morning. He went, listen, of course, I'd fight. I mean, you know, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah. But he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it for the sake of it. But obviously, we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events, right? You know that's going to create like unbelievable viewership. And no disrespect to Jake Paul, it's a straightforward night's work. But you know, I like this calling out of Canelo and all this. AJ it's another challenge up there. But you know, if they're game, why not?
What did he say, AJ, to you about it?
He said, why not? I said, what do you want me to say when I'm asked about it? And he said, tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime. It's not a problem for me.
Jake Paul has set his sights on Anthony Joshua, claiming AJ has no chin, no skills, and is stiff. The YouTuber turned boxer took to Twitter, posting a picture of Joshua making a phone call with a caption, "Look who called, 2026 Anthony Joshua." Paul insists he would be up the former heavyweight champion, stirring up speculation. On the other hand, Anthony Joshua shared a screenshot on his Instagram account, capturing a moment where he was on a call with Jake Paul. This post came shortly after Jake Paul publicly called him out, asserting that he would defeat Joshua in a boxing match. The social media exchange has fueled speculation among fans about the possibility of a match between the former heavyweight champion and the YouTuber turned boxer. Meanwhile, Jake shared a post from Vafa Sports, which stated, "Jake Paul sent me his list of desired fights for 2025 and 2026 on February 10th, 3 days after the Canelo matchup fell apart. On that list were 6 fighters. One was Anthony Joshua. I called Jake to make sure he was serious. Unequivocally, he was and is 2026. The boxing community and fans have expressed strong opinions regarding Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. Many believe that Paul's ambition to fight a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua is unrealistic and overly ambitious.
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, "At Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects. And
adding to the complexity of Jake Paul's boxing endeavors, reports suggest that he is also scheduled to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. This development follows Davis's recent controversial match against Lamont Roach. Despite this potential matchup, Jake Paul has publicly expressed his desire to face Anthony Joshua, indicating his ambition to take on high-profile opponents across different weight classes.
Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional, but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work?
In the aftermath of his bout with Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis took the opportunity to call out Jake Paul during the post-fight conference. This unexpected challenge adds another layer to the evolving narrative surrounding Jake Paul's boxing career.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Man, god damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Jake Paul's audacious call-out of Anthony Joshua, a two-time unified heavyweight champion, has raised eyebrows in the boxing world. Observers find it astonishing that Paul, with his relatively limited boxing experience, would make such bold claims about a fighter of Joshua's caliber.
Jake Paul has just called Anthony Joshua out. Yes, Anthony Joshua, AJ, the two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. This brother called this man out. Oh my God. Now, in a recent clip on Jake Paul's podcast, I think, he basically said that he will beat Anthony Joshua's ass and he has no skill, no chin, and he's too stiff for him. He also apologized to Anthony, saying, Anthony, I'm sorry, we're friends, but I know I can beat your ass. This guy is tapped in the head. Then again, he almost got a fight with Tank. If Tank beat Lamont Roach when they drew, he would have fought Jake Paul. It was lined up, basically. A lot of people get mad when people say he's the face of boxing. These highly rated boxers want to fight Jake Paul. So, I don't know what to say, honestly. But one thing for sure, AJ will never fight. AJ's too classy for that. Way too classy. He respects the sport of boxing too much to fight this guy. Absolute plonker. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And make sure you follow for the most up-to-date and sharpest boxing news and content on TikTok.
The boxing community has been quick to react to Jake Paul's comments about Anthony Joshua. Critics highlight Paul's previous loss to Tommy Fury. Questioning his credibility in assessing Joshua's abilities, a Twitter user commented, YouTube boxer Jake Paul, who lost to Tommy Fury, says heavyweight Anthony Joshua has no chin, no skill, is stiff, and that he would beat him. What the hell is this guy talking about? Anthony Joshua has shown openness to Jake Paul's challenge, reportedly telling his promoter, Eddie Hearn, that he would fight Paul. Hearn revealed that Joshua's response was, "Listen, I'd fight him." While this indicates Joshua's willingness, many in the boxing community view the potential matchup as unrealistic, given the disparity in experience and skill between the two fighters. The prospect of such a fight has been described as delusional by some observers, questioning the legitimacy and competitiveness of proposed bout.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or Mayweather McGregor. It can't happen.
MMA fighter Anthony Smith has commented on Jake Paul's approach to boxing, suggesting that Paul targets legendary fighters to secure lucrative paydays. Smith implies that Paul's strategy involves provoking established names through trash talk, leading to high-profile bouts that generate significant financial returns. This perspective aligns with observations about Paul's matchmaking choices, which often involve older or less active fighters, a point of contention among boxing purists.
If Jake Paul beats Anderson Silva, we should all fucking boycott the rest of his fights until he fucking fights someone that's on his level or whatever level we deem him to be on. You talk all this shit about MMA fighters. You talk shit about the UFC. Then you pretend that you want to bring fighters up and you want everyone to get paid better, but then you trash everyone every time they fight. Now we're putting food on your fucking table for you to drag our legends, older, shorter, smaller, past their prime legends that have spent their entire careers running their bodies into fucking car accidents. And then we hold these guys near and dear to our heart. And then this fuckhead just pulls them out of fucking semi-retirement and then just knocks them out in fucking pay-per-view and then she'll shits on all of us. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, why are we still fucking pandering to this piece of shit?
Jake Paul's ambitions extend beyond boxing, as he has also expressed interest in fighting MMA star Conor McGregor. Paul has claimed that his boxing skills are improving while suggesting that McGregor's abilities are declining with age. This assertion has been met with skepticism, considering McGregor's combat sports background and accomplishments. Paul's comments reflect his confidence in his strategy of challenging high-profile athletes to elevate his own standing in the combat sports world.
Think McGregor's done?
I think he has to come back and fight, but he needs to win.
Will he fight you?
I don't think he will. I think my skill level is outgrowing his in boxing, and I have the height advantage. He can't beat me, and I think he probably knows that. And time, he's only getting older, and I'm only getting better.
Many fans are eager to witness a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, mainly because they believe Joshua would dominate and humble Paul in the ring. That Paul's history of calling out elite fighters and claiming superiority over them has made him one of the most polarizing figures in combat sports. Many fans feel that his confidence in challenging Joshua is unrealistic, given the massive gap in experience, skill, and weight class. Despite this, the potential for a fight between the two has generated massive interest, with some hoping that Joshua would put an end to Paul's bold claims inside the ring.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5 seconds.
Joshua has finally weighed in on Jake Paul's growing influence in boxing. While acknowledging that Paul lacks mature experience as a boxer, Joshua admitted that Paul has been good for sport in terms of bringing financial success and big paydays. Joshua recognizes that Paul's ability to generate attention in self-fights has brought a new audience to boxing, something that traditional boxing purists may not always appreciate.